Hi everybody, welcome to my treasure book series. This one is in the Hall of Fame of treasure books. Let's go back to American cooking around 1984. There was a gentleman, a gentle giant of a man named Paul Prudhomme. Everyone in America should be aware of who Paul Prudhomme was because he was a huge force in changing the perception of regional American cuisine. I was a young cook and I had just come out of Key West and landed in the town pretty much where I was born, back around the family, and gotten a job in suburban Lake Forest, hired by Gordon Sinclair, and I've talked about him before and I'm sure I'll be talking about him again. American regional cuisine was just beginning to become on the minds of people, amazingly enough, in America, because before that we were pretty much smitten with French cuisine, Italian cuisine, and lower and lower and lower after that, because after French and Italian, not very much, not even the revered as it should be Chinese cuisine. But something about New Orleans and something about Commander's Palace, the restaurant in New Orleans that Paul Prudhomme brought to fame, changed the scene. Paul Prudhomme kind of makes me laugh about, the big stars of the day and how they last a very short period of time compared to Paul Prudhomme. Paul had the goods. Paul was recognized by Craig Claiborne, who, let me show you the cover of Paul's book here before I get too much further. Look at this face. Look at the breadth of his shoulders. Look at the confidence and joy in his smile. This was a man who adored cooking, not just lived it or loved it, he adored it. He had a habit, a custom, if you will, of bringing spices with him wherever he went to eat, whether it was somebody's house or somebody's restaurant, because he was so sensitive to food that would be flat or boring to him that he would, I don't know if it was a secret or not, but he would spice up the food. Back to Craig Claiborne for a moment, one of the greatest food writers in the history of America. He wrote, "It is no exaggeration to say that the finest and most definitive regional cooking in America is that of Louisiana. That cooking, generally known as Cajun and Creole, is by far the widest in scope and broadest in taste. Paul Prudhomme is the," here's a word for your dictionary, "panjandrum, the greatest authority and practitioner of that school of cookery, and his book is absolutely essential on the cookbook shelves of anyone who cares about a great aspect of American cuisine." This book, I don't know how much it would be worth. I think it'd be worth a lot because I looked this morning and it's a first edition. But I did see that if you wanted to get a copy of this book, it lay you back about $5 maximum. Paul Prudhomme, oh my gosh, it's starting to fall apart a little bit. Well, that's no surprise because I was cooking out of it while I was cooking in kitchens, holding it open with my French knife as I studied this man's cuisine. Because before I ever got to New World cuisine, I had to first absorb the lessons of Cajun and Creole cuisine, and no one better to teach than Paul Prudhomme. He eventually opened up his own restaurant, which became quite famous, K. Paul's. The food, honestly, it doesn't look like much. It's not tweezered. It's not showing all range of colors. There's barely any other kinds of plates. It's home cooking in many ways, but my gosh, the power that he got out of his food was just so much that other people wrote about his work. Alice Waters, James Vilas, whom I don't think enough people know about him, and maybe they don't even know that much about Larry Forgione, but my goodness, these were the people who were the giants of our industry when I was coming up, and I have to lay on and revere them. Oh, there's a Christmas card from Alden and Emerald. Of course I stuck it in this book. And then here, let me show you closer, camera lady. This is me in my handwriting from long ago, parsing out how I'm going to make crawfish etouffee. Yes, those are my handwriting scribbles right there. I had the honor to be awarded the Madrid Fusion Award in, gosh, I'm not going to remember the year, 2006, obviously in Madrid. The other people who received that award in Madrid with me for being heralded as the founders of the new American cuisine included Paul Prudhomme and Alice Waters and Mark Miller. Cell phones and the ubiquitous nature of cameras in your pocket were not quite the thing yet. Even then, not quite the thing. But thankfully, someone did have a camera, or who knows, maybe a cell phone, and took this photo, which I'll treasure for always. That is myself with Chef Prudhomme, looking just dapper as can be. He was sitting in a wheelchair because that is how he got around toward the end of his life, but dressed to the nines and eyes twinkling and showing the love of life, of being in this world and being joyous about it. No doubt about it. Paul Prudhomme, one of the greatest to ever come along and wear chef whites. His company still carries on Cajun Magic, and more than that, for me anyway, the lessons of Cajun and Creole cookery as taught by Paul Prudhomme still carry on as well. I don't know if you have this book in your library, but if not, I highly recommend that it joins your treasure books, as it always will be in mine as such. And God bless you, Paul, up in heaven. And I hope to see you there one day. Take care, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.